What's up, guys?
We got a first question right over here.
What's up? My name is Josh Martinez of Z100 on iHeartRadio. Immediately noticed your tights were a little different than normal. Looked like there was an homage to 1997 Hell in a Cell,
Yes.
Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, Bad Blood, and then there was a slingshot spot in the match as well. Talk about that.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a psychological game. Kind of, Luchasaurus has told me a bunch of times that's actually his favorite match from when he was a kid. So I thought, what a good way to stick it to him and wear the tights and kick his ass.
Dig it.
Gabby?
Hi, Gabby from Buswood Radio. What were your thoughts when you were on top of that cage? I don't know what was going through your mind.
Yeah, that was crazy. It was so loud as I was going up. I was like, oh, Jesus, this is going to be nuts. When I got up there, it was a little weird because the way he was positioned on the table, I wanted to land with my hip on the table, but he was kind of, and I was like, oh, I'm either going over that way or coming a little this way. So, and it's weird, people are screaming at the top of their lungs, and it's like a split-second decision, kind of. It felt really cool, though, to look around that huge building. This building has been really cool for me. We won the tag titles here. When was that? January?
The first episode of Dynamite ever on TBS. Yeah, first week of January.
So yeah, it's cool. Almost a year later to be in here with that guy and to have a moment like that. So it was really neat.
William? Oh, sorry.
Hey Jack, can you just tell us a little bit about like how early, whether it's in the week or the day of, you find out that you're opening the pay-per-view, and how much does that kind of go into the calculation of, you know, just what you guys have prepared versus going late in the show? Can you just tell us a little bit about when that decision is made that you're opening the pay-per-view?
I kind of started hearing that yesterday, and then today it was confirmed. The only thing that really changed for me was I went to bed a little earlier. I kind of try and do the same thing no matter where I am in the card, and that's just kind of go balls to the wall and try and steal the show. But it was nice, it was fun. The crowd's typically hottest right at the beginning, so that was cool.
Hey Jack, Liam Crowley, comicbook.com. We spoke earlier this week, and you talked about how you haven't had life in AEW without Luchasaurus, without Christian Cage. Two-part question. In this match, based on how the result ended up, do you feel like there's any sense of finality to your time with Christian and Luchasaurus? And secondly, have you thought about what AEW looks like completely on your own now?
I think at the moment there's kind of some finality. I know Christian still has some time before his arm is fully healed. I definitely am going to have to beat him. So whenever that comes around, I'll be ready for that. But at the same time, I'm not really going to wait for this guy to get back. I don't know how long that's going to be. So it's going to be kind of exciting to see now what this looks like. I feel done with Luchasaurus. We kind of put a close on that chapter. So this really is my first time sort of without him in any capacity, kind of just seeing what it looks like by myself.
Thank you.
Hi, Jack. Nick Hausman with Wrestling Inc.
How you doing?
Obviously, you competed tonight as Jungle Boy Jack Perry. Are we going to continue to hear you use that name? Are you going back to Jungle Boy? And do you feel you've kind of maybe outgrown the Jungle Boy persona after 3 years with the company, or 4, I guess?
Yeah, I don't think I'm going back to just Jungle Boy. That originally, like when I was on the Indies, kind of came about as a way to not use my real name and sort of stay away from my personal life. And then Christian went and just like blew that out of the water. So at this point, there's no hiding it really. So I think I'm happy at the moment. It may not be Jungle Boy forever, but we'll see. I don't know. I think people dig it a little. Kids, whatever you like.
Corey Lee, Wrestling Observer. Question about your history with Luchasaurus, your training and everything like that. For you guys to actually be in a major match on a pay-per-view like this, especially in a steel cage, how did that really make you feel in the sense of where you come from, obviously, to where it ended up?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of bizarre. I was 10 years old, and my parents found a place for me to go train to be a wrestler, because up to that point, I just practiced all my wrestling on my sister. And they said, we'll support you if you want to do this, but you have to do it with other people who also want to do it. So they found this guy, Rick Drazen, who had a ring in his backyard, and there were classes. And I went to the kids' class, and I was better than all the kids there. And he said, I think you're good enough to be in the adult class. And I went to the adult class, and it's funny, Miro's in it as well, but there was Luchasaurus. I was better than him when I was 10, but it's kind of cool. I don't know, the world is so small kind of in that way. And we kind of separated and reunited on the independents, and then kind of got here like sort of at the same time, and then got put together. And it's just, I don't know, for this to happen, like so many kind of random events needed to happen, and they all did. And this happened. This was one of my favorite matches that I've ever had. So it's just really cool kind of to look back on that now and see how it all kind of took place.
2 more questions?
Will Washington with Fightful. So one of the loudest reactions we heard tonight happened right about the time you were about an inch away from being at the top of the cage, and then the place just exploded. Can you talk about that feeling? We've had multiple guys have moments at the top of the cage in AEW's history with, I think, the 5 cage matches that have taken place. And I would say, just having been there for a few of them, that was one of the loudest I've heard. Can you talk about what was going through your mind when you were at the top of the cage right before you made that elbow drop dive onto Luchasaurus?
Yeah, it was cool. When I set him up on the table, I just looked up there, and I knew everyone kind of knew what that would mean. And I felt everyone was wanting it, and I already heard them start going nuts. And then it was just like every kind of step I took, my hands was getting louder and louder, and I was like just smiling like, this is crazy, I haven't even done the thing yet, and they're going nuts. Then I get up there and it's tall, and there's not really anything to stand on, so it's a little like, oh shit, but I'm trying to also take in the moment, kind of, and then I got to look at him, I go, dang, I actually have to jump on this guy now, like it's kind of done already. It was really cool. It was just cool to be able to stand up there and look around and just like feel that energy. So yeah, it was really cool.
Thanks, Jack.
That's the last question.
A bit of an extension on what Nick said about how you're going to be addressed going forward. I noticed that fans were chanting "Let's go, Jack," which
were they?
Yeah,
I didn't hear that. It's cool.
I thought it was really cool because when you first got here, you were introduced as Jungle Boy. 2 guys that really spoke up for you were Jim Ross and Chris Jericho, and said they see really big things for you in your future. You're sort of realizing that now, but what does it mean to you to have 2 guys like that speak up for you and sort of see that for you when you really hadn't been in front of a large audience at that point?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the beginning, I really wasn't ready for that. I think Jim Ross was kind of the first one who ever put that out there, and I was like, oh, I mean, there's nothing I can say about it. Like, I'm not going to tell this guy not to. I was really thankful that, I mean, really to Tony, I guess, that I was allowed to go out on TV and just be called Jungle Boy, and that was it. Like, I was like, that's pretty cool that I can do that. I don't know, I mean, I think it kind of makes sense, like, as the characters progressed a little bit. Like, I used to pretend to eat bugs out of people's hair, so, like, I don't do that anymore. But, I don't know, I'm happy with the progression of it. I think it still kind of fits. It's a little more like a nickname now. It's not, like, as literal of a Jungle Boy. But yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the way it's going. And, who knows what it'll look like in the future.
And for a while, Jim got a little bit of flack online because he was calling you Jungle Jack Perry. And
yeah.
It was like, he related it to the Rumble for The Rock. And it's like, sort of like,
yeah.
Let's see where it goes. And,
yeah, I mean, the first time I heard it, I was just watching the show back, and I didn't know he was doing that. I was like, oh, I guess that's it now. But I think he had the best interest in mind. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I never really had a problem with it. It's not something I said myself, but it was also cool for me at that point. I just been signing, here's Jim Ross yelling my name over and over again, so that's like pretty neat. But yeah, now looking back at it, hats off to him.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys. Thanks. I'll see you in a bit.